Welcome back to Code with Clinton. In this video, I'll be showing you how to build a to-do app with Django, and I'll also show you how to implement Django CRUD functionality. And Django CRUD stands for create, retrieve, update, and delete. So I'll show you how to do those in this video. So let me show you how my to-do app works. For example, I could add a to-do. I could just say visit a friend. Okay, visit a friend. So add that. Click on the add button. You can see it has been added. So I could also delete it if I want. Delete any other one if I want. I could also edit. I could also edit. Read the book. Click on the edit button. So I could come here. See, it says it's always with the book over here. So I could just say take a nap. Understand? Take a nap. So edit. You can see it just changed from read a book to take a nap. You understand? So I'm going to show you how to build a simple to-do app application and also show you how to implement Django CRUD functionality in this video. So do well to stay subscribe to my channel for more interesting JavaScript videos and Django videos for beginners. So we are going to start it right now. First of all, we need to open our command prompt and start working. But before you do that, make sure you have Python installed and Django installed. You understand? So open your command prompt. Say command prompt. Okay, here's my command prompt. So I'm going to see into the desktop, CD into my desktop. You understand? So after I've done that, I could simply run Django admin start project. But before this command is going to run, you must make sure you have Django installed. For it to know if you have Django, you could just simply say Django admin dash dash version. Enter. You can see I have Django. It showed me the version 3.1. I have version 3.1. That means I have Django on my system. But if it does not show you, if it shows you an error, that means you need to install Django. You will just simply say pip install Django. You could just run pip install Django. You understand? Pip install Django. We're going to help you install Django. And make sure your computer is connected to the internet. It's going to help you install Django. And before Django installs, you must have Python installed. So you install Python first. If you have Python on your computer, install Python. Go to python.org. There's a free documentation on how to install Python. After you've installed Python, come down here and also install Django using this command pip install Django. After you've done that, you can now start creating Django apps. Understand? So I have Django installed. I'm going to just simply say Django admin start projects. Yeah, Django admin start projects. I'm gonna say to dos. I'm gonna call this to dos. So enter. Okay, I'm gonna cd into this directory. I'm gonna move into this directory. I'm gonna say cd to dos. Enter. So I'm gonna say Python manage spy. Manage. You could call your directory any name you like. You understand? Manage spy. Run server. So Python manager spy. Run server. Oh, okay. My server is running, but I made it was there's something for me to note. You can see my project runs on this URL. You understand, on this particular port. But there's gonna be an error because this current to-do app I have on the screen, this particular to-do app I have on the screen runs on the same port. So there's gonna be a clashing. So for me to prevent that, I'm gonna say Python. I'm gonna say Python manage.spy. I'm gonna change the port. I'm gonna say Python manage.spy run server. I'm gonna say 8003. Understand? Because this particular to-do app on the screen, this to-do app on the screen runs on this 8000 port. So there's gonna be a clashing. For me to prevent that, I'm gonna make sure I change the port number. So I give it 8003. So just hit, after that, hit enter. So let's see. Okay, now you can see the port has changed. Just copy this, Ctrl C, and come down to your browser and paste it. Enter. Perfect. We have Django. Django is now running on our computer perfectly. So we're gonna start creating this to-do app right now. Apps are just small modules inside a Django project. So let's create this. Let's create an app called to do app. So go down to your text editor and open this Django project, the file I created using Django admin start project. I'm going to open that particular folder. gonna say open folder. So it's my desktop. So I'm gonna say open to do. Okay, here is it. Open to do. So select folder. Folder gonna open in a short while. Okay, here is the folder. Nice. Here's the folder now. Okay, so I'm going to create an app inside this Django project called To Do's. Understand? So open your terminal. It's a new terminal. So I'm going to run Python. I'm going to say Python manage.py start app. My start app to do app. So this is going to call to do app. So enter. Okay, you can see the app has been created. Here's the app. That's nice. So you need to register this app in our settings.py. So settings.py file is inside the project, Django project. So open the settings.py. So here's the settings.py. So go into the installed apps and put in your newly created app called To Do app. It could be called any name you want you like in this channel, To Do app. So save your work. So that's nice now. So we're going to open up our models.py, our app models.py. So open it. So in here, we're going to create an item we're going to place on our template. We're going to create the item. So let's create items for our database. So we're going to call this class. We're going to call this class. We're going to say class my to-dos. My to-do. Okay, that's nice. Should be, we're going to inherit from models.model. So I'm going to call this models.model. So I'm going to call this attribute task instead. I'm going to call it task. I'm going to say equals to models.char field, models.char field, models.char field, character field. So I'm going to say max length. I'm going to read a max length equal to, let's say, 50 characters. So save your work. So I'm going to also give it this string function to make it more readable in the admin. I'm going to say xtr. It's going to hold xtr sideways, underscore underscore str underscore underscore parentheses, and put in self. I'm going to say return self.task. So in our admin area, I'm going to make sure our items are readable in the admin area. This helps us to make sure the items are replaced with this task name we are going to save. So after that, we're going to run a migration. It's going to say Python manage.py make migrations. So enter. Okay, after that, we're going to run under we're going to say Python manage.py migrate. Okay, it's migrating all the default items we need together with our my to-do model. So after I've done that, now we need to register this app. We need to register this my to-do class in our admin section. So you see admin.py in your app, in your module to-do app. So just go there and import the module. Just say from .models import. I'm gonna say my to-do. So I'm gonna say admin.site admin.site.register. I'm gonna say I'm gonna register the my to-do. Nice. So after I've done that, now our app is fully registered in our admin section. So with that being said, so let's go down to our views.py. So we are going to retrieve our item from the database in the views.py. We retrieve them in the views.py and pass them down to our templates. So open views.py. Okay, simple. So we're going to import those items. Going to say we're going to import them. Going to say once you import the class from the models, going to say from dot models import my to do. And you might be wondering what this dot refers. This dot refers to the my. This dot refers to the to do app. Why am I using dot? This is because I'm importing from models.py. I'm importing from models.py into my views.py. the views.spy and the models.spy are both from the same directory, which is to do app. They are both from the same directory, which is to do app. So for short form, you could just simply say from dot models, whereby if you want to say it in full, you could just say, we could say from to do apps, dot models import my to do. But for short form, you could just simply use dots, because they are both the views.spy and the models.spy are from the same directory, to do app. The function called all to dos. I'm gonna say all to dos. Okay, requests. I'm gonna create a param. I'm gonna create an argument called request. I'm gonna return an HTML page. And I'm gonna return an HTML file. Instead, I'm gonna say return render. Put in the request of the first argument request, followed by the HTML file. I'm gonna say all to do .html. Here's the context. This dictionary is a context we're going to pass to the HTML. You understand? So first, I need to create this HTML file. So inside my app, I'm going to create a folder called templates. Inside the app, I'm going to say template. So enter. So inside the templates, inside the template folder, I'm going to create all to do.html. So create the file called all to do.html. That's nice. Okay, here's my template all to do.html. So I'm going to just simply put in hello world inside there. Let's say hello world to save. Okay, after that, now for us to view this our template on the browser, we need to do some URL mapping. So inside the to do app, we're going to create a file. We're going to create a file called urls.spy. No, we're going to create a file called urls.spy inside the to do app. We'll call this urls.spy. Okay, now we have the file here. So inside the file now, we're going to do some URL mapping, but we need to do some importation. I'm going to say from Django.urls import paths. After that, we're going to import our views, the view module. I'm going to say from dot import views. After that, I'm going to define a variable called URL patterns. So it's going to be a list of URLs. I'm going to say paths. I'm going to leave this empty. After I've done that, what am I going to do? I'm going to say views.all-to-dos. That's our view function. Views.all-to-dos. I'm going to give it a name. This is for our dynamic. This name is for the dynamic URL routing. I'm going to say name should be equal to all to dos. Okay. So now before we do anything more, we need to make sure this urls.spy is registered in our Django project. So we're going to go down to our Django project urls.spy file. This one we have here is the app urls.spy. So we need to go down to the Django's project urls.spy file and register this to do app.urls. You understand? So close this now. I think we should close this. So come down to the project urls.spy, which is here, to do's.urls.spy. Okay, open here it says now. So we want to make sure it's registered. I'm going to say paths. I'm going to give this to do. Before we access the app urls.spy, we must make sure the URL is always prefixed with to do slash. You understand? To do slash. You're going to say include. I'm going to say include to do app .url. So save. After I've done that now, so let's see if it's working. So come down to the browser and slash to do. Oh, okay, our server is down. So we need to run Python manage.spy run server. So come down to the text editor, Python manage.spy run server. Oh, I made a mistake. It shouldn't be. I made a mistake. So it should be Python manage.spy run server 8003. I changed the port number, you understand? So it should be, I'll always make sure I use this port number. So let's see. Okay, it's running. So come down here and refresh the page. Perfect. You can see my hello world from our HTML is showing. You can see the hello world from the also.html is showing. Nice. That's good. It's good as working. Understand? So come down to the views.py now. We're gonna make sure we retrieve all the items from our database. I'm gonna call this all to do. I'm gonna say task. I'm gonna call this task should be equal to my to do dot objects dot all. But now we don't have any item in our database. Our database is empty. We've not created anything for the database. And so it's gonna be it's empty. So we're going to create it on the front. We're going to create items for the database on the front end. Maybe I'm going to create a form very soon. Maybe I can add items on the front end of the database. You understand? So I'm going to put in these tags in our dictionary because this is our context. I'm going to put in these tags in the dictionary. So I'm going to put in task, which points to the tags we have there. You understand? So yeah, that's it now. So for us to access tags in our template, we're going to access it through this particular key. Through this key, you're going to access this value here. Understand? You could call this key. You could give this key any name you like. But must make sure that this key you have here points to the object you have here. You understand? So after I've done that, now we need to create a file called forms.py, whereby you can add a form on the front end and add items to our database from the front end. Down to your to-do app and create a file called forms.py. So go down to that app. So create a file called forms.py. So forms.py. Boom. Okay, that's nice. Now, so after we've done that, we're going to import form from Django. We're going to say from Django import forms. Yeah, we've done that now. After I've done that, so we're gonna create a class called, I'm gonna call this to do form. To do form. Just this works like our normal models.py. Forms.py is very similar to models.py. We are going to be importing from forms dot some of its subclasses. Understand? We're going to say class to do form. We're going to import from forms dot model form. This helps us to add items to our database from the front. Understand? This forms dot model forms. So after I've done that, we're going to give it a class of meta. Class meta. So we're going to specify the model we want to add to. The model we are adding to our my to do model, my to do. But once more, make sure that my to do is imported into forms.py. I'm going to say from dot models import my to do. Nice. So make sure it's imported. So we're going to specify the fields we want. The fields. We only have one field in the my to do model, which is the, what was the name of the field again? Which is the, what was the name? Okay, task, right? We only have this task field there. So come down there, we're gonna input that field. You just say task, right? Yeah, to save your work. So after I've done that, now we're gonna make sure we import this. We're gonna make sure this forms is imported into our views.py. So go down to your views.py and make sure the form is imported there. I'm gonna do the final coding here. I'm gonna say from dot forms import to do form. Yeah, so to the form, this form, we're going to place this form on the front end whereby we can add items to our database, right? So I'm going to say form should be, I'm going to create a new variable called form. You can call this any name you like. I'm going to say form should be equal to do form. So our form is equal to an empty form. You understand? This is our form here is equal to an empty form. This is an empty form. So we're going to put in an if statement that says if it's a post request, if request method is equal to post, equal to post. Want to change the value of form. I'm going to say form should be equal to request. So it should be equal to do form. Form should be equal to do form requests dot posts. So I said if right if this form equal to do form is a get request, but if it's a post request that helps to add to our database, I'm going to make sure form is equal to do form with the values in the form. Request dot post stand for the value in the post in the form. So after that, I'm gonna say if form is valid, if form dot is valid, I'm going to make sure form is saved to the database. I'm going to say form dot save. So that we're going to pass in this form in our context here. We're going to pass in the form. I'm going to say form pointing to form. Yeah, save your work. So come down to our HTML. So you can remove this hello world. We don't need this hello world again. So we're going to put in that form. It's in our template variable form. So if we're going to make sure we put in our form tags instance. So we're going to create a method of posts. Method equal to posts. After I'm going to create a CSRF token. This helps to add any malicious inputs from a malicious user. This helps to save us from any attack from a malicious user. The CSRF token. So put in the form inside the Control X, put it inside the form, Control V, and make sure you put in a button, a submit button. I'm going to say button type should be equal to submit. Okay, I'm going to give it submit. Save your work. So let's see how the template looks like. Refresh the page. Our server is down again. So let's run server. Oh, it says there's an error somewhere. If you look down here, you see the error says unknown views tax specified for my to do. So let's go down to our models.py. The field here is called task. Let's go down to the forms. Oh, it's called tax and not task. I'm going to remove the X. This is the error. So Control X. Save your work. So let's run server. Python. Run server. Python manage. Spy run server 8003. Enter. Hope there's not going to be error. Perfect. There is no error. So let's go down to the page and refresh. Nice, we have our form already. There's the form. Perfect. Now so let's add items. Now so let me just say read the book. So we want to add an item, read a book. Want to read a book for the day, read a book. Read a book. So submit. Oh, there's an error. Okay, we have this error WSGI requests object has no attribute post. So let's go now to our views.py. Maybe I need to make this in caps, put this in caps, so posts. So let's see if it works. So go down to the page and refresh, enter. Okay, it seems it has worked. So let's go down. We need to create a super user so I can access our admin. I'm gonna say Python manage a spy, create super user, enter. I'm gonna just say Clinton. I don't want an email, so 1234 my password, 1234 password. So yes, okay. Python manage the spy run server, manage the spy one server 8003. So go down to go down to the browser, come down to the browser and say 12/admin. So come down there, come down to the URL, base URL and put /admin. So enter. So load up. Okay, I said Clinton 1234. So log in. Okay, let's open my to-dos. Perfect. You have two items already. Read the book, read the book. So we added read the book twice mistakenly. So you can see now we are able to save from the front end. So let's put up, let's say code. We want to do some coding. So submit. Oh, it says CSRF token. Oh, the error has been rectified just by simply reloading my page. Oh, the error was rectified. Understand? So let's put in a different to do. Let's say write some code. Write some code. Submit. So just check our back. Refresh the page. Perfect. Can see write some code. So now we'll be able to work on the retrieve. Okay, so we have it on the back end. So let's make sure we also have it on the front end. So we're gonna come down on the to the, what's the name again? To the old to the HTML file. So what do we in the views.py, we call these items tags, right? We call them tags. So we're gonna come out to the to-dos.py and run a for loop. We're gonna say for, make sure you're using the template tags. We're gonna say for tags in tags. Okay, make sure it's ended, end it with the end it also end for. Perfect. So we're gonna come in here for tags and tasks, put inside a p tag, just put task, task.task. Understand? Or let me see if I could just say sub for to do in tags, right? We just say to do the task. To do the task from our model.py, we gave it an attribute called task, right? We're gonna say to do the task to save your work. Come down to the front end and refresh, enter. Oh, to do the task. Okay, that should be inside a template variable. Understand? To save your work, come down here and refresh. You can see now we have write. Okay, we have write some code so multiple times. Let's go clear that. Oh, make sure. Okay, we can remove everything. So let's delete them. So let's make sure they are deleted. Okay, so let's come down there, refresh the page. Let's add some. Okay, write some code. So let's add some more. Let's say take a nap. Submit. Okay, nice. Now we have been able to like retrieve our data from the database on the front. We have been able to retrieve them. So now I want to work on the delete functionality whereby I can delete these items also. So we're gonna make sure come down to our HTML. We're also gonna add a button for deleting. Let's just copy this. Control C. Copy that. We're gonna put inside. We're gonna put inside the A attribute. It's gonna say A. I'm gonna say a. We're gonna put this person inside the a tag, not attribute. Ahref a equal to this. Make sure it's closed. Place the button inside there. Remove the type of submit button. Gonna give it delete. Give it the delete functionality. Delete. So after in here, we're gonna put in a URL. We're gonna put in a URL here when we are done. So copy this and put update. Control C and make sure you have the update button. Control V. So change this to update. So update will be last. The update button will be last. Okay. Come down here and refresh the page. Perfect. And see each of them has an update and also a delete button. Each of the items. That's nice. Okay. Now after that, let's go create. We need to write up the views for the delete functionality. We need to write out the views. We're going to work on the delete functionality on this. So we are in the view.py now. Let's create a function that helps to delete items in the scan for our database. So come down here. I'm going to say dev delete items. So delete function delete item, right? Delete item. With the requests. So you're going to pick up another argument. It could be called anything. So I'm calling my own PK. So you're gonna pick up the tax through its ID. You understand? I'm gonna say tax should be equal to my to do dot objects dot get id equal pk. This id, so I'm gonna get each of my to do items using their IDs. You understand? So I'm gonna simply say tax dot delete. You understand? Just as simple as that. So I'm gonna create a URL mapping for this particular function. Go down to my to do app.urls.py. So I'm going to create a particular mapping. So I'm going to say, so put a comma after the first URL. I'm going to say paths. I'm going to put int pk. This refers to the ID of my to-do item. This int pk, because this pk was called from the pk I have here in this function. So if I give it some other names, I'm going to make sure I put that same name in my urls.py in pk, right? So it's going to be a number. The ID, this represents the ID of each to do item. So I'm going to say views dot, going to be a views dot delete item, views dot delete item. So I'm going to say name should be equal to delete, delete, delete item to save your work. So after I've done that now, so I'm gonna come down to the all to do .html. I'm gonna put in that URL in this delete functionality. So I'm gonna use the template tags. I'm gonna say URL should be this. So for my views, for my URLs.py, I gave it delete item. So I'm gonna put that delete item. Okay, delete item, delete item. So I'm gonna put to-do.id slash to-do.id, to-do.id. Understand? So save your work. And after I've deleted an item, I want to make sure I redirect back to the home page. Understand? I want to make sure I redirect back to the home page. So come down to the views.py. So I'm gonna say return redirect. I'm gonna say return redirect. Redirect. So make sure you import redirect, make sure it's imported. I'm gonna say slash command redirect. Where import redirect from Django the shortcut, it's gonna say return redirect. So I gave my, so I'm gonna put this all to do's. I'm going to return back to this particular views. You understand? So go down to my views.py and put all to do's. So save your work and go back to the HTML, refresh the page, enter. So okay, take a nap. So I want to delete this item, delete. Okay, it's gone, delete, gone, and they are all gone. So let me add some. So let me just say visit a friend, visit a friend, visit a friend. See, perfect. So I can delete it. It's gone. Okay, so now we are able to add the delete functionality to this project. So let's go and add the updates functionality. Add the updates functionality right now. So go down to the views.py. We're going to create a function called update item. You can call yours any name you like. Understand? So let's say def. We're going to say update item. We're going to also give it the request and the PK, because we are going to be picking this object through their ID. We are not, from the first function, I picked up all the object I have in my to do class. But in the delete item function, the update item function, I'm picking them individually, not as a group. You understand? So I'm going to say def update item. So I'm also going to say, let me say should be equal to, or like all this. Let me say to do should be equal to my to do dot objects dot get id equal pk. Yeah, so let me return a function. Let me return I want to return and it just return an HTML file. You understand? Save it on render. Let me do that. So I'm gonna save it on render. I'm gonna say request. I'm gonna say updates item.html. Let me say updates, updates. Oh my god, updates item.html. So I'm also gonna create a dictionary where I'm gonna pass in my context. Okay, let me just put in to do the to do pointing to do. Understand? Okay, that's nice. After I've done that, let me go create my. I'm gonna make sure I create this HTML file. So come down to my templates, create a new file called update item.html. I'm gonna say updates item.html. Nice. So I've created the template. So go down to your views and spice. So we're gonna also create a variable called form. Let's say I'm gonna call this form updates form. Update form should be equal to the form week. Should be equal to this to do form, right? So update form should be equal to that to do form. So to do form, yeah. So I'm gonna say instance should be equal to do. What does this actually do? This helps to, like, whenever we click on that button that takes us to our update form page, you'll see that the form field is going to hold the particular to do. For example, let me show you this. For example, something like this now. You see, for example, I want to edit take a nap to take a walk. So edit. You can see the form now has the take a nap in it. So I could just simply say take a walk. Take a walk and edit now. You can see that it has been changed from take a nap to take a walk. You can see. So as I said earlier, this instance equals to do, like, it helps to populate the form with the particular item you want to edit. You understand? So I'm now going to say, so this is going to occur whenever we just click on the link to get there. So I'm going to, this is a get request, this update form, this is a get request. So I'm trying to write of the post request. So I'm going to say if request.method is equal to post. So I'm going to simply say update form, updates form, update form should be equal to do form. I'm going to say request.post, request.post. After saying request.post, I'm also going to make sure I put that instance equal to do, put comma instance equal to do. If you fail to put this instance equal to do inside of this parentheses, if you fail to put this instance equal to do, it's going to create a new item and still leave the old item in the database. But if you make sure is so if this instance equal to do is inside the parentheses, it's going to edit that current item you want to edit and we save it as a new one. Understand? But if you fail to put it there, you're going to create a new item and leave the old item in the database. So we want to make sure it does not create, it does not leave the old item. Make sure that it edits it and makes it a new item. Understand? So like I said, after that we're going to say if updates form dot is valid, we want to save it. I'm going to say updates form dot save, updates form dot save. So make sure you pass it down to the context here. I'm going to say update form. We just say update form rather, pointing to our update form. Save now. Okay, now let's go map this function to a URL. You understand? Come down to our URL.py, come down here and put a comma and create. So let's copy this, shift Ctrl C and paste. Yeah. So okay, I need to edit this. Let me just give it delete item. So nice. Okay, I think it's better. Delete item slash. I think it's better now. So I'm gonna give this now update item. Update. See, you can see I changed this now. I don't need to do any other changing in my HTML because I'm using a dynamic URL mapping over here. Thank God. Thank you to Django. So I'm gonna say update item. I'm gonna say views.update item. Update. Okay, update item. To save. So I'm gonna go down to my update item.html file. So I'm gonna make sure. So I'm gonna do some copy and pasting. So I'm gonna make sure I copy this form. Control C and paste in here. Control V. So after I've done that now, I'm gonna call this updates. Updates. Yeah. Okay. So I called it from my views. I called that. I gave it a name called updates form, and not come. Okay, come down again here and give it updates form. Updates form. Update form. So save your work. After I've done that, what we're gonna do next? Okay, now we need to go down to all to-do.html and add the URL to the A tag. So come down here. Here is where we're going to have the link. So I'm going to add the URL here. So let me just copy this. Control C and paste it in there. Control V. So I'm going to give the dynamic URL is called update item slash to-do.id. Okay, so save your work and come down to the home page. So let's add a to-do. Let's say write some code to submit. Oh, the error says update item is not a valid view function or pattern name. So what could be the problem? So let's get down to our code. So I give it update item here, dynamic URL. So let's check our URL.py file. Oh, you see the mistake here. This should be called update item and not delete item. Update item. So save your work and come down to the and refresh the page. Oh, the error still stays. What is wrong? Okay, let's go back and see. Oh, I didn't spell update properly. It should be up. Okay, update. So save and come back. The error should leave now. Leave. Okay, it's taking time. Okay, nice now. Okay, see we have, so let's delete them. Yeah, so much delete. Okay, let's put in take a nap. Take a nap. Submit. So let's update this now. So click on the update button. Perfect. And see now it also take a nap there. You see? So let's put take a walk. Updates. Okay, it has been updated, but we need to return back to the home page. You understand? So let's go down to our views.py and make sure it returns back to the home page. I'm gonna copy this code, return redirect from the delete function. Make sure you copy this code, return redirect, Control C, and also put it back. Going to redirect us back to the home page. So Control X. Come down to the page again. So refresh this page, enter. You can see now it's taking us back and see from take a nap to take a walk. So let's add something. Let's say visit a friend, visit a friend, submit. So let's add go to church. I'll go to church, go to church, submit. So let's update go to church. So let's put in go to school, go to school. So update. You can see go to church has been changed to go to school. So we just built a simple to do app with Django, but where we are able to implement Django CRUD functionality. So in the next part now, I'm going to make sure I style this particular page to make sure it looks as good as this page. Understand? So if you are interested in that, if you want to follow along, just keep on watching. Thank you. We're going to start with that right now. Now, want to make sure this to do app looks beautiful. So let's go do that right now. So I have the HTML and the CSS file already for the to do app. For this particular to do app we have here. So I have the HTML and the CSS file. So I'm going to simply copy this HTML, Control A, Control C, After doing that, I'm going to paste that in my alt to do.html. So come down to my alt. So I'm going to comment this out and paste the new one. Yeah, after then just save. So I'm also going to do that for my CSS. Before I do that for CSS, I need to create a folder called static. This folder helps to hold our CSS and JavaScript files, you understand? So I'm going to create a folder inside the to-do app. And this folder is called static. So create this folder called static. Enter. After doing that, I'm going to create a file, a CSS file inside the static folder. So let's do that. I'm going to create style.css. Enter. That's nice. Okay, after doing that now, I'm going to make sure I copy this file. Okay, come down to my UI, to the to do UI, and copy the CSS style. Control A, Control C. Okay, now after doing that, go paste that inside the CSS, inside the style.css. So paste the code inside here so we can save. Now I think we can now close it. Yeah, so we have our CSS file ready and our template also ready. So let's go link to that CSS. So our CSS file is called style, right? It's called style.css. After that, we're gonna make sure this is inside a curly braces. After that, it's inside a double quote. After that, I'm going to put in the percent sign of both on both sides of the curly braces. After I've done that, make sure you put in the static, because the style.css is inside the static folder. Okay, after doing that, we're going to make sure we load static up here. Make sure you put this template tag, load static, just to save your work. So after doing that, now we need to do run some. So now you can see inside this ID to do items, we have the what will I call it again? We have each to do. Understand? So I'm gonna like clear others and work with one. So I'm gonna remove this two. So I'm gonna say yeah, what do I call it again? I said for to do in tags, right? Simply I could just copy this. Control C, come over here and paste. Let's say Control V. For to do in tags, end tags, right? So I'm gonna make sure I end the for loop, end for. Okay, after I've done that, now I'm gonna put in the item here. Or like I'm gonna say to do dot task to save. So I'm also gonna make sure I copy those URLs here, copy this, Control C, come down here for the edits functionality, you're gonna paste that inside here, Control V. Okay, do that also for the delete functionality, copy these URLs, Control C, come down here, paste that here, Control V. Okay, save your work. So I think the page is gonna look beautiful now. So let's go down, save your work, and let's see it on the browser. So refresh. Oh, it's not still looking beautiful. What's the problem? Okay. So let's save our work. Let's see if it's gonna change. Oh, it's not still changing. Okay, yes, the to-do app now is looking beautiful. It was not looking fine before. I had to go and save some of my unsaved files, so it's now looking beautiful. Okay, let's see if we can add items. So just click. Let's put in. Let's say sleep. Let's just say sleep. Add. Okay, it's now adding. That's because in our what's the name in the all to do.html, there's a form there, and the form is not from our views.py. This form over here. Look at this form. You can see this input type is not from the views.py. You understand? So from the views.py, I gave it the name called form. From here, you can see form. So I'm going to go back to this all to do.html and remove this field and put form. I'm going to say form to save, and let's go back and see what it looks like. Okay, these are normal old form, right? But it's not looking beautiful at all. So I'm going to edit this in the forms.py. I'm going to make sure it's look as beautiful as it was, something like this. So I'm going to make sure it looks like this. So I'm going to go down to my forms.py and do some configuration. So come down to forms.py. So I'm going to create a field called, let me just say task, or let's say, yeah, let me call this field, I'm going to call this field task. Picking, I'm using the name of this task to be equal to, let's say forms.char field. Task should be equal to forms.char field. Okay, we're going to say max length should be equal to 50 characters. That we are going to give it a widget. Widget should be equal to forms dot text input. So inside, so I'm going to put in an attribute inside here called attrx. Okay, after that should be equal to curly braces. So from my CSS, I style the form. I give the form an ID for my CSS. Make sure you that ID my CSS. I give the form an ID. That input field an ID, but I can't really. I don't really know. Okay, this is it here. To do field. I give it an ID called to do field. For my CS in my CSS, you can also see it in the HTML. Okay, I've cleared up the field, right? So let's keep on adding what you're adding. So I'm gonna give it. So I'm gonna give this particular field an ID should be equal to ID should be, what do I call it again? Oh, I said to do field, right? To do field. Okay, after that, I'm also gonna create a placeholder of enter task, enter shippings, the quote enter task. So save your work and come down to the also.html and put form.task. So save, come down here, refresh the page. Perfect. Okay, no, this is the previous one. Okay, refresh the page. Hope it works. Oh, our server is down. So let's refresh again. Server is running. Perfect. You can see now the field now has been beautified. It's looking beautiful now. I just had to do some editing here. I also like add the particular ID that for my CSS that has been styled. Add the ID inside this attributes function here, whatever it's called. So add the ID and the placeholder inside this. You can just go down and look at this and try and, memorize this syntax. Understand? So after I've done that, I'm going on to my also.html or to do.html. I'm going to give the form a method of post, method equal to post. So after I've done that, okay, I think that's all for the all to do.html. So I'm also going to copy this. For my update item.html. I'm going to copy the form, not just the form I need. I also need the, okay, I just need the form, right? I need the form. So I'm going to copy this form from here, upward, copy, Ctrl C, come down to my update.html. I'm going to close this, comment that, paste. So after I've done that, okay, div ID needs to have an end tag. So I'm going to put an additional two closing div and an additional one. Perfect. Div container. Okay, let's save now. After I've done that, so what? Okay, let's see what I did here. So I'm going to copy this, Ctrl C, bring them down into this place, paste them. So I'm gonna put task. Yeah, so that's it. So also in my also.html, I need to put the cxrf token. Put it over here. cxrf token. So save and come back here. Let's put in an item. Let's say sleep. Add. Perfect. Sleep has been added. So let's delete. Nice. Let's edit. Oh, okay. Come down to the. Come down here to my object item.html file. Okay, that should be. It's not complete. So save and come down. Refresh. Perfect. And see, go to school. Let's say go to church. So you can see the church has been added, have been changed from go to school to go to church. Okay, we just made a simple to do application in JavaScript with Django. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you really did, subscribe to my channel, smash the like button for me, and drop me some comments. Thank you for watching this video. We'll meet in the next video. Bye bye.